Good morning,
John,
everybody. It's Tuesday, May the 12th, 2026. I'm John Clark here with Anthony Ferguson and Darin Fingelson. This is the Made in Paradise podcast. Anthony Ferguson, what do you have for us this morning?
what do you think is the biggest illusion humans live under?
That they're going to die, that one day life is going to end. And so, I've been studying a whole lot about aging in the past few years, and people are afraid to get old. And that's because they think they're going to die. They think that being old is in some way a negative thing. But the illusion that life is going to end is the number one thing I think people live under, because if they knew it went on and on, if they knew that every desire is eventually going to get fulfilled in this lifetime or in another one.
So do you think we live? Sorry.
Live in a different way. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. So do you think we live in a matrix? What do you want to say?
Well, if you want to see it that way, I mean, we're not hopefully not hooked up to a machine that only serves robots, but we live in what can definitely be considered an illusion, a dream within a dream. It's a no harm, no foul situation. Our soul, our essence, our consciousness goes on and on and on and on and on, and forever has been, and is timeless.
So is karma part of that illusion?
Karma is part of that illusion to teach us lessons. That's correct. We suffer to learn. It's a school, and we take the curriculum or we don't. Right? When you see people who are careless about others, people who are obviously egotistical and think about themselves and their priority is only about themselves, they've failed this. And you may see, well, they have all this money or all this power, or whatever it is that you think that they have, but the real settling of that score is the moment that you're both standing on the other side. Right? And you look at, what was the goal? What was I supposed to do when I was here? What was the goal? Take the curriculum, right? What does the suffering teach us? It teaches us a whole lot of things, but it teaches us to love. Right? Teaches us to love others as we love ourselves, which is the basis behind every world religion.
So if karma is real, let's say, what do you think? Do you think thoughts count the same as actions? So if I have a negative thought in regard to someone, is it count the same as action?
A lot of people have a lot of different opinions about karma, right? They have a whole lot of opinions. And I've heard someone say that we actually earn karma in our dreams. That our dreams are actually creating karmic waves as well as our waking thoughts and actions. So I think the answer to your question is yes, our thoughts do produce karma. Are they the same as taking action? No, it's not.
That's an interesting thing to say, though, because in our dreams, there's a lot of dreams that we don't recall throughout the night. And so there's a lot of things that we don't even have a clue of what we're even dreaming about. It's only those that, if you do remember your dreams, it's just the last one that you recall.
Which, and thus would be uncontrollable karma pitching you forward.
Right. Interesting.
So do you believe in that scenario? That means to say you believe that everything happened for a reason? Or do you think life is mostly random?
Do I think everything happens for a reason?
That's right.
From my perspective, absolutely.
Okay, so if everything happened for a reason, do you think karma plays a role in everyday everyone's life?
Completely. Because you can also take karma to just saying, this is my life plan, right? This is how my life has been planned out. Like, take Om Swami, for example. He comes into this lifetime, and it's real obvious by the time he's 7 or 8 years old that he's an extraordinary child. I mean, and he loves to study and he loves to read. And that's what he wants to do. And he has some very mystical experiences with some holy men as a young man. He ends up going to college and becoming a computer programmer, and then builds a very successful company and becomes a multimillionaire. Then he renounces all of that wealth, gives it away, goes into the Himalayas, meditates for 7 months for 23 hours a day, has a vision of God, and thus becomes, I guess, what you call an official saint, right? So, but he'll make it clear to you if you read his books that he had choices in all of that. He made this choice, that choice, the other choice. So he could have made some different choices, but that there was obviously something propelling him from his previous lives that caused him to want to be reading scholarly scripture at the ages of 7 and 8 years old.
Right. So have you ever experienced, right, a moment where you said or you feel like karma is chasing you, right? You say, oh, shit, I'm paying this karma.
I'd have to say I felt that hundreds of times, because I think it's a natural reaction on my part, or let me say, not say a natural reaction, let me say it's a normal reaction on my part, a typical reaction on my part, when something happens for me to question, okay, have I done this to someone else? Have I caused this before?
Most people don't ask that question.
And so if you ask me, in asking me that, and you say, well, do you think karma's, following you? I see it all as karma, right? Because it's all just a situation that I've created from before I was born, and before many lifetimes before. I've created this situation. And so I see myself as completely responsible for it. Because otherwise, if I'm blaming someone on the outside, I am denying the theology of I am.
Right. So if you're blaming someone, that means to say you're blaming yourself. Is that what you want to say?
Well, even if I'm blaming John, I have the perspective wrong. It's I am that creates my reality, not John. Right? In reality, John thinks John's creating it, but it's I am that creates my reality.
So do you think there's a way we could skip from karma? Do you think there's a way you could say, you know what, from today, let me start do things in the right way so I could skip karma, or you're gonna pay karma anyway?
I'll tell you what I think with a long story I hope I can make short. And you've heard me tell this before, but Brooks calls me late one night. Brooks, my mentor, calls me late one night and says, hey, John, can you talk? And I'm like, yeah, it's late. I'm surprised. Is everything okay, Brooks? He said, I was just in a difficult situation out here on the highway. And he said, there was an accident and a pickup truck was following behind a trailer that was full of big, long pieces of pipe. And one of those pieces of pipe came loose from that trailer and flew off the back, went through the windshield of the truck and went through a young man's chest and out the back of the truck.
Oh, man.
And he said, so when I got to the scene and I walked up to the truck, he said the ambulances were coming, but he said he was in the process of dying. And we immediately began to talk about God. And he said in that moment, he said in those just 2 or 3 minutes, he got right with God. And he said he was like, you could see his whole face changed. It's like he really felt forgiven in that moment. I think that if you believe in grace and you believe you deserve grace, you can get it.
If you believe in grace, okay.
But if you don't believe you're forgivable, you're not. Right? And it also says you're forgiven the same way that you forgive others. So if you're a unforgiving person, well, you're going to be unforgiven. What you wish for another person, you're wishing for yourself.
Exactly.
10-minute mark.
Darin
Darin Fingleton.
Well, was a pretty touchy and heavy segment, and I kind of want to lean more into a business question. So, John, I did want to ask you, you've been in the liquidation business for 42 years now. What separates a good buyer for someone who is just with money?
You mean, how do you identify this is a person that's going to be a good buyer for me, a good buyer of product? Oh, so simple. They give you feedback. A buyer, if a person is not giving you feedback, you're wasting your time. You try for a little while, see if they're going to give you some feedback. We just had this. I just had a guy reach out to me that made a group. We're going to put stuff in it. Send this to me. I'm going to give you some feedback. I'll get back to you tomorrow morning. Crickets. And as you know, with your best deals, right, you're not going to put those in an email. You're not going to put those in the podcast. You get a deal that you know you can sell. You sell it by WhatsApp to someone else. And you're not going to just keep sending WhatsApps to someone who's not giving you any feedback.
So has there ever been a buyer that you've walked away from, even though they had the money to close the deal? What did you see that made you walk away from them?
I feel like if anybody's upset in a deal, if anybody's mad, and what I mean by that is if people are irritated, they're having to do the deal in some way, it's just better to walk away from it. And I had experiences in my life where people were behind the 8 ball, where they had to do a deal and they didn't have a choice, and they were angry about that. And that's one kind of thing. But you get with people and they're just clashing. They're just clashing one with another. You can just see it coming. You can say, no, this is not going to be a good situation if somebody starts claiming a shortage or damage or something else. People need to be happy to do a deal.
Right. And how long should it take a serious buyer to really make a decision? After you send them that information and they got it, everything that they need, how long should it take them to make that decision? I think that really depends on the size of the deal. Most of our deals are the cost of a nice house. If you start to think about it, most of the things that we sell are $200,000, $250,000, $350,000, $400,000, $750,000. That's all houses, right? How long does it take you to make a decision on a house? You don't make a decision on a house in an afternoon. You definitely sleep on it. You think about it. And if you look at how long it takes our deals to close, I think deals this size, if they close in a week or 10 days, you're very fortunate. And we see these deals, a lot of them, they hang around and hang around for 2 or 3 months until the correct buyer is found. It takes time. It takes time for that kind of money to move. Some people make decisions very fast. Yes, I'll take it. I know they need it. Well, that'd be wonderful if all of life was that way, but it's not that way. And if there's a lot of merchandise in the market, all the decisions slow down because people have a limited amount of money in order to buy things. And so they're not gonna jump at the first offer, even though they may think it's a good offer. They may look at it and just say, okay, before I put my money in this, let me check with my main suppliers and see if they have anything coming up, or if I may have another cash need from someone else that I know is going to be better inventory. So the speed of a decision, gosh, we all want it yesterday, right? But that's not the reality. That's not the reality of the closeout business. Well, can you walk me through the best buyer you've ever worked with? What made them different from everybody else?
I can tell you who that was. It's Excess Cargo in Canada. It's a chain of stores, and they sold, and then the next owners ran it into the ground and it closed. But the owner of that chain of stores, and he had a guy that worked for him, and they were 2 of the best buyers I ever met in my life. They knew what they were looking for. They knew what they wanted. They would come in and make very quick decisions. They sometimes made very low offers that you couldn't take, but they would make very quick decisions, and they paid everything in cash. So you knew that, okay, if I do this, I'm going to get paid, even though I may have to take a lot less money. And by doing that, they were squeezing the margins down. And then they were giving the consumer a value, and then through that create and repeat business, right? It was a simple model, but it was the owner's genius that started that. And then, he mentored other people to do it. But then after he left and his leadership was gone, no more.
Right. If someone was watching this right now who wants to become that kind of a buyer, what do they need to do starting today?
Oh, you're going to have to study your category until you want to throw up, because in order to buy something quickly, you have to know your market. Absolutely. So, as you know, in our experience, I've made a whole lot of fast purchases, but I've also been in the merchandise business for 42 years in a lot of different categories. And so over time, right, I have honed the ability to make a quick decision. If someone wants to be a fast buyer and get that reputation, and not go broke, then they better know their market. They better gorge themselves on information related to whatever their category is.
Nice. Well, that concludes my questions for the day. John, did
So,
you have anything you want to talk about?
Not too long ago, we were doing this big grill liquidation. And so there was a guy on our email list, and he'd been on the email list, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years. And I talked to him several times, but he'd never purchased anything. And we'd done the Home Depot deal, right? So some time passed and hadn't talked to him, but we're doing the grill deal. And he went and did a marathon call session at Lowe's until he found the grill buyer. And then from the grill buyer, had to go through the manufacturer all the way to the guy who was in control of the grill deal, who was a friend of mine for 15 years. And when he got to that person, he began to explain to him why he would be better one to handle that deal than I was. And so he found out about it from our email. And the guy with the grill company said, "No, Proven Performer is handling this for us. If you have any questions or anything about the deal, please reach out to John." So then he did it again. He called back again, said he wanted the deal again, but I need you to cut out Proven Performer out of the deal. And thus, my friend of 15 years said, "I don't want to sell these to him at any price because they have restrictions and I have to trust the person. Here he is trying to cut you out of this deal." And just in the last 48 hours, you and I, Darin, both received an email about a deal where a guy we know bought some merchandise, $31,000 worth of merchandise, and it was in a 3PL. He paid the company for it. Before he could pick it up at the 3PL, police raided the 3PL, took the pallet of merchandise, said it was stolen. And now the person that we know can't get his money back. And the person who sold it to him has gone cold. And I got another notice from another company out of San Diego that has been around for a while and people knew who they were, but all of a sudden they announced a whole bunch of deals and took a whole bunch of people's money, and then they've disappeared. And I think that someone who's going to be in this business, you're asking about being a buyer. If you're a younger person in this business, something that you need to realize is that when one of these incidents happen, the people that have been in this business for decades, we all call each other. We text each other. We copy and paste each other's text, and it goes all over the place. So when you commit a moral turpitude of some kind, when you cheat somebody or try to go around them on a deal, or do go around them on a deal, cut somebody out, which is a very dishonorable thing to do, be aware that it really is a small world. And you may continue to move forward, but there's going to be a lot of things that you're not going to know about, and you're never going to hear about, because you're not trustworthy. And you need to be trustworthy if you want information to flow to you. I think that's a very, very important lesson in anything in life, because people think, well, if I cut that person out, I'm going to make more money. And that might not necessarily be true, right? You might be, many times with our vendors, they have an inside sales staff, but they use us for other things, right? And they pay us a commission. They're going to either pay it to their inside sales staff, or they're going to pay it to us because we're getting something done that their inside sales staff can't do. But either way, it's the same commission being paid. But to try to cut someone out of the deal for whatever reason is not smart business, especially if that person is well connected.
So can you explain our customers one more time, or our audience one more time, why should they do business with us?
Because we're going to do what we say we're going to do to the absolute best of our ability.
Right.
The truth is that we treat other people's money better than our own. We go sometimes to extreme lengths to verify that a deal is good. And we don't get involved. Like we have some huge deals now, rugs and lighting and some really exciting big stuff. And someone's going to buy that, they need to get on the plane and go look at it.
Exactly.
It's that simple. It's that simple. We have that in common with houses too. If you're not buying houses sight unseen, you shouldn't be buying $350,000 investment sight unseen either.
Yep.
But why to do business with us? We do what we say we're going to do. That's it. To the absolute best of our ability. Not everything is under our control. Not everything's under our control, but we are very good at communication. We keep the communication moving, and we insist on communication, because when communication is stopped in a deal, you got a big problem. The number one thing is in any deal, the communication needs to move fast.
Right. What you got for us today in regard to deals?
Time to talk about deals?
Please, let's see.
We have a handful of deals today. We were talking about this right before the podcast started, so we'll talk about this one first because it's our weirdest deal, our weird deal of the day, ladies and gentlemen. The weird deal of the day is this Sriracha sauce. And someone sent this to me last night. This is 15 containers. Let's just call it 300,000 bottles of Sriracha. It expired last August 2025. And you can see in the upper left-hand corner of this picture, it's stacked 3 high back behind there. Been in a temperature-controlled warehouse. It's still nice and red. The artificial intelligence says the date on there is just a best buy date. It should still be good for another 3 or 4 years if it's been kept in a temperature-controlled warehouse. It's 15 containers, about 300,000 bottles. We don't have a price. It's in a make offer situation because they don't know what to do with it. If you can use a whole lot of hot sauce, if you were the P. Diddy of hot sauce out there somewhere,
you could use 15 containers.
Please reach out to us about this Sriracha sauce and let's talk about it.
That's too good.
Deal number 2.
Wow.
Mustang Shelby, ladies and gentlemen.
Ooh.
Gotta love a Ford
bad.
Shelby. Yeah, absolutely. These are a 12-volt ride-on vehicle, LED lights, music, and remote control for the parents. Don't forget that, very important. There are 712 pieces available, 285 in black, 138 in pink, 289 in white. Your price, $75 a piece. Take all, FOB California. Darin, throw up that Walmart screen real quick so we can take a look at that.
There you have it.
It says $293 on Walmart. I have the retail listed at $279. $75 still seems like a deal for a kid's ride-on, especially being officially licensed, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So they are in a brown box. Looks just like that one. Says Shelby GT 350 on it and has the license information. Very important. So please reach out if you're interested in the Shelby GTs. Last one for the day today is the MZK Once again, cordless leaf blower with a 20-volt battery.
Everyone needs one of those.
I bet you do, don't you, Anthony?
Right.
You need a new blower around your house?
I
Adjustable
do.
head for better access, trigger lock for hands-free power. The MZK cordless leaf blower. We have 2,000 units of these, FOB California. Retail at $99.95. Current comps online around $70. Take all on this product. $17, ladies and gentlemen. Leaf blower, 20 volt, with a battery. It's an Amazon's choice item. $17 a piece, so please reach out if you'd like to hear about that. We are the Proven Performer crew. I'm John Clark, along with my co-hosts Anthony Ferguson and Darin Fingleton. We sell big closeouts. We buy and sell big closeouts. And we sponsor the Made in Paradise podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. We're here every day, Monday through Friday, and we'll see you tomorrow. Take care.
Wow.